amount of history in your hand. I don't want to waste a lot of time because there's so much to be discussed in this room. Okay? This thing, oh my God, it's upside down. Oh. Look at the cool pictures, but they're upside down. Not all of them. Okay. Well, what you're going to see, and as you heard the governor say, right, let me go beyond what he said. In the past 2 legislative sessions, a DJ is not supposed to have that kind of feedback. In the past 2 legislative sessions, I have not seen so much fantastic legislation passed, maybe in my lifetime, as I had in these 2 legislative sessions. So, what you will be looking at in your hands is the culmination of work from Gail Muhammad, those of you who stood, many of you who are not here. But if you also look on the back page, I'm sorry about the stapling, but man, we was in a hurry. If you look at We Did It, specific to criminal justice reform, what you see here in this packet, We Did It, and the page before that where you see the most recent legislation that passed, that's 20 years worth. Because the Bonnie Watson Coleman legislation that passed happened in 2010. That didn't just happen in January 2010. It took a decade to make that realized, all right? Now, what you see on the other page, after you see the cool, sexy pictures, in the past decade, this is a lot of the stuff that has just passed right now, but I can tell you that it's not all of it. Over 200 bills were sent to the governor for signature, and what I will tell you is that he has signed most of them. That is incredible. I asked the governor's office for a full list. Deborah Kornavaca sent me 17 pages of 2- and 3-line bullets of all the legislation that passed, right? So what does that mean? And one of the messages that we have here is that with all of this legislation, and you can see there's a lot in your hands. This will be uploaded to the Integrated Justice Alliance Facebook page after the conference, so you will have a record of it that you can share with somebody else. But what is going on then? There is still a lot of trouble going on in this world. There's still a lot of trouble going on in criminal justice. But with all of that being said, I have to tell you, advocates don't got money. Advocates don't got resources. Advocates don't got support, yet all of this was achieved. But if you look at this is a little bit overwhelming to say, to be viciously polite right here. Viciously polite. So what is our message? That we have to really, as advocates in New Jersey, take a breath. Because we don't know which ones of these have passed, and I'll give you a couple of examples. One of the ones that passed 2 or 3 years ago was REIS, Racial Ethnic Impact Study legislation, 2 or 3 years ago. When a law passes, from the day it is signed, you have 12 months to enact that stuff. So there's a lot of criminal justice stuff that you're looking here that is major historic stuff, right? But if you look back 10 years ago, and let's just stay with REIS for a minute because I do want to get to the panelists, it states that any criminal justice reform bill that's written by any legislator in the state of New Jersey must have a racial ethnic impact study in that bill to see how that law will affect communities of color. Marijuana legislation is one. Is the REIS stuff in there? Is it and all of this legislation, is there a REIS study in everything that you see on that list? There's maybe 30 or 40 a year right here. So we have to take a breath as an advocate community in all fairness and start to look at if any of this is being implemented. We can still keep looking for more, but oh my God, I think me and Sister Gail have been screaming about this since we got 2010 accomplished, right? Yes. But we have to look and see if this is being done. There's too many people inside. The people that stood up in most part today, I never thought would be on the outside of this wall serving with me, Miss Antone and Shaw. I never thought that we would see them come out and be with us. Out here to give us a little rest here and there, right? This panel, this started in 2002. with the New Jersey Black Issues Convention, the Hispanic Directors Association, the Department of Parole, the McGreevey administration, the state police, the Department of Corrections, and all of that. 20 years later, you see this. This started back in the late 90s as it became a concept in 2000 under the minority disproportionate confinement of juveniles, right? So we didn't know that because honestly at that time, number one, there was nothing being done with adult mass incarceration, that's number one. And I forgot number two. So,
nobody did it.
Right? No, but the model was created by the statewide conferences that were being conducted for minority disproportionality, all right? So we are actually coming full circle here. The theme of coming full circle here is these panelists that we have before us. So and it is completely connected, and that's really the genuine message. It is completely connected to the degree that when we started from a youth model, we wanted to shut the front door. The whole effort of this advocacy was to take care of the spectrum, and you cannot shut the back door unless you shut the front door. I remember what the second point was. Let's be clear. In the year 2000, take this away with you. Reentry was not a word. Reentry was not a word. Reentry was not a word, let alone what happens when you come home and can you stay home? Can you make it? Blah, blah, blah. And now everybody's an expert. Now there's money involved. Now there's agendas involved. Now you have to be careful. Speaking truth to power, being truth with power, it's a very hard thing to do. There's a lot of emotions and pain in this room, and it's hard for us to stay proud, to stay humble, to keep the emotions in your pocket and get this job done for those who still remain behind that wall, who do not have a voice, which is something that they wasn't really out here with us when we started this. And now we have a force growing and growing and growing. We have Ms. Jessica Sandoval. Please sign in. We have Ms. Jessica Sandoval, who is from the ACLU in Washington, D.C. She is a national strategist in 13 states right now, if I got that counting right, on isolated confinement for the juvenile population. And she's going to talk about a few of those kinds of statistics and things like that, which again spill into everything that we've been doing. Isolated confinement here in New Jersey for children, isolated confinement for adults. Is the Department of Corrections laughing at us? I've actually heard a guard say, well, yeah, I'll take Max out in 15 days, but 2 days later I'm going to put him back in, so yes, I'm listening to you. I've already heard these kind of things. So without going a little bit further into that, I've already described to you Nellie Poe is an incredible champion, which I love with my whole heart, We could not do better. Nellie for president. Nellie, no, don't do that. Mr. Anton Henshaw, I met him in Trenton State Prison. I love you. He is in our SCAR video, which you don't know a whole lot about. And he is also the executive director of Camden
African Neighborhood Development Organization. And I'm vice president of Women Who Never Give Up. Gail Muhammad is my president.
You see that? And what is that? That is a $2.5 million complex of a school that has all kinds of different programs in it. It ain't just school, it's life skills, it's conflict resolution, it's dance studios, it's two radio stations. It's Women Who Never Given Up coming in there in the office in any minute now. So what we're gonna do is let the panelists talk. This is a room where you're not allowed to stay quiet. You're not supposed to stay quiet. That's why we wanna hurry up and talk. Because everybody who sits in any of these rooms has a reason to sit here. You have an opinion, and it's important to us not only to agree or disagree with what we are saying, but as well to tell us if we're going in the right direction, tell us what we missed. We need to hear that. This is 10 years, and this room is 20. But we need to know if our direction is correct, and we need to follow it properly with your blessing. So, with no further ado, I'm going to give this one here to Jessica.